Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. If people had an Easter break, welcome back. I know we did here in the UK. My name's Kerry Nutley. I'm the HCM Strategy Director for UK and Ireland here at Oracle. And welcome to what is the third call in Oracle's HR Talk Time, a series of half-an-hour webinars we've put in place to support HR professionals around the world in terms of HR business continuity based on what's happening in the world today. Thank you so much for joining. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is Leatham Green. He is the PPMA Executive Director, the local UK and Ireland support group for our HR professionals in the local government. And he is also the CEO of his own organisation, the Mindful HR Group. So Leatham is amazing. We work together a lot through our association with the PPMA. I'm quite excited about today's talk because often when we're in business and in HR, we focus so much in supporting our colleagues and the business. And especially in today's times, it can feel like grey, blue, and even black. And I know whenever I speak to Leatham, he also always brings onto the call some multicolour. So this call is being recorded for replay purposes, but none of you will be recorded, so I know there's some activities, so please do get involved. You might feel it's not for you, but trust me, if you do them and you partake, you will feel better after. And this today's call is very much on around your own personal well-being and taking that space that we need as HR practitioners. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Leatham for the next 25 minutes. We will take any Q&A at the end of the call. If you do have questions as we go along, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen to type them, and I will ask Leatham at the end of the call at about 25 past. Leatham, over to you.
Oh, hello to everybody, and thank you so much, Kerry, for that very kind introduction, and welcome to the Mindful HR Centre. I've been told that kind of participating in Zoom calls or Skype calls now is a bit like kind of through the keyhole, and your first couple of minutes is spent kind of being curious, especially if you haven't got green screen images behind, in terms of what does your space look like, and kind of go into the world of people's private lives. So here is mine, the Mindful HR Centre, and it's brilliant to be able to share with you something that is really important to me, the concept of promoting loving kindness to yourself, you know, as an instrument, as a tool for personal growth and development. And it's at the heart of what I've been doing for the past 3 years at the Mindful HR Centre, working with organizations and individuals to help them get unstuck, you know, unstuck in the way that they think and feel and act, and the response that they have therefore in terms of their services to customers. And doing this by using as a kind of the guiding star, that principle or the compass of the direction, the concept of love, kindness, and compassion, both for themselves and the way they do business. And this is really quite liberating. And it's not an easy thing to be doing. And certainly for many organizations, it hasn't been an easy thing to get their head around. You know, it is far easier to control your business through policy, procedure, telling people what to do. It's very different worlds, you know, altogether, and so encouraging people to feel that sense of liberation and freedom. It can be a little bit scary, and yet here we are, you know, all put into this very strange and uncomfortable and predictable environment of lockdown with coronavirus. Some of us feeling, you know, very anxious, fearful, and also suffering personally through this process and crisis. It's a really difficult time. So the concept of being loving and kind both to yourself and others becomes ever more important. So I'm going to try and give you a few techniques throughout the course of the next 20 minutes or so that you can start building into the rhythm of your daily life. Now, these are not big things that I'm asking you to do, and some of you may already be doing this, and it's, you know, it's not stuff which is rocket science. You know, it's about being obvious and being aware of what's going on around you, and also recognizing that for all of us forevermore, we will be altered by this experience of coronavirus. The world will never be the same as it was before we experience this lockdown period. So how do I get prepared for that is hugely important. And even superheroes, remember, need to be kind to themselves. So here is, I always find an opportunity to introduce my office companion here at the Mindful HR Center. This is Luca Giovanni, to give him his full name. And he views himself very much as a superhero. Ever since he was a puppy, his mission on this planet was to eat sausages. He lives for sausages, look after his harem of cuddly toys, and protect his family, his daddies, from the rest of the world. And he lets everybody know that this is his space. So when we go out for our daily walk, we never have any problem with social distancing, because he shouts very loudly to everybody to keep away. However, his routine has been turned on its head completely, because he's used to having one person at home permanently, and I spend most of my time traveling around the country doing work. So I'm kind of in and out. And for the past 3 weeks, it's like, my God, what's happened to my life? I've got 2 humans to look after. And this has been quite exhausting for him. At the weekend, as you can see, he took to his bed, quite out of character. He just wouldn't move. He was kind of locked in his chaise, as you can see, cocooned by his blanket, and just needed to rest. And it was really quite concerning. I've got to say, the next day he bounced back with great gusto. And so kind of once he'd recharged his batteries. But for those of you who are dog lovers out there, you might look at that picture and have this sense of yearning in terms of, oh, isn't he gorgeous? And he is very handsome. He's a beautiful dog. And for some of you, you might connect more with, kind of babies, or anyone who you've got that sense of loving for, and this sense floods through your body very quickly. You see an image like this, and you get that chemical shift and change in your being. And this concept of shifting that chemical reaction of love and kindness that it brings into your body is what I want you to start thinking about each morning when you wake up. You look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day when you get ready to go to bed, looking at yourself, bringing this sense of kindness, the sense of love to yourself, and wishing you well. So at the start of the day, just look at yourself and say, hello, Leatham. I hope today goes well, and I hope today is lived with a sense of love and kindness for yourself and for those around. It's as simple as that. At the end of the day, just saying, I'm really thankful for the day that I've had. However difficult that may be, I might have made mistakes, but I'm giving myself a break and wishing myself well for a good night's sleep and the day ahead. Very simple techniques, but equally very powerful techniques. And I'm just asking you to try that out for the next 2 weeks and let me know how you get on by the start and the end of the day, just extending a sense of kindness to yourself with love. Yeah. So here we are, even superheroes become exhausted. And it's important to remember that in order to take care of others, and many of us in the world of HR, this is our prime purpose, prime role, to take care of others, it's really important to look after yourself. And if we want to make the best choices, the best decisions, and at this time they're really difficult and they're fast paced, we're making them in an environment of unpredictability and uncertainty. That can be a hugely difficult time for us. We have also had to be working long hours, extra hours, in a very different environment. So for those who are now home-based, where previously you might have been in a physical building, this need to work long hours is not sustainable. And it might be that you perhaps can work longer and harder than most and go beyond and those aspects. However, the fact is that even superheroes, those senior leaders in your organization, have limits to their personal levels of resilience, both physical, emotional, and spiritual, that need to be recharged. And taking care of ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually is the responsibility we all have, and is not an act of selfishness, as we can sometimes choose to label it. The yada that goes on in our heads really needs to be quietened and stilled, and give ourselves a break by saying it is okay to recharge my battery mentally and emotionally. Because I think there's a real art in being able to hold your nerve and keep a sense of humanity in this current situation. Because events are far from predictable, as I was saying, and we have little control of events which are going on around us. And for some, that is hugely challenging. Many leaders especially, that can be really difficult. And you as HR, the kind of the voice of an organization, it's important that you can kind of get people to recognize that it's okay, whoever you are and whatever you're doing, whatever role you're doing in an organization, that you may have this sense of fear, anxiety, a real sense of helplessness to a certain degree, and also a need to try and protect those around you and those who you're leading, like a superhero. These are normal human responses to such a situation to have. But the challenge is being able to deal with this experience of uncertainty and lack of control. And the best way you can do this is by giving yourself a break and being kind to yourself, extending that sense of love to yourself. Because it's also, and I think this is really important, an antidote to mindlessness, which can start to emerge. And I noticed that in myself this weekend when I was sitting slobbing in my chair and suddenly discovered 3 hours had gone by with me watching Judge Judy. This, and whilst I wasn't doing anybody any harm, it really wasn't kind of the best use of my time. And I could feel myself quite easily going down that route. And it was my own superhero of Luca who came to the rescue, because he needs routine and certainty around, this is my eat time, my play time, my fun time, my garden time. And so because of that, it kind of jolted me out of my mindlessness experience and got me back into that space of recognizing this is not a healthy trait, but equally not bashing myself up. It might be okay from time to time to binge out on Judge Judy. She's often the font of great wisdom, or at least I think so. So it's trying to recognize this obvious stuff and not dismissing it, of being kind to ourselves. And I'm going to use a technique and share this with you in terms of breathing, the power of breathing, the power of breath, to get you into this moment, to release and let go. Just take a pause for a second and recalibrate in terms of how you're thinking, feeling, and acting. So, recognizing that as human beings, we're very sophisticated copying machines. And this is picked up at a very early age. And I think this image is really infectious from that point of view. And this applies not just in terms of that physical space that we're in, but also in this time that we're experiencing very much over the airwaves. We're kind of zooming into each other's lives very personal, very intimately, which is something that would never have happened probably in your day-to-day business activity. But recognizing that we'll be noticing, really paying attention to what's going on when we're watching electronically, as well as what happens when we're together physically. Because as human beings, we're wired for connection. And that's just not what you say necessarily, but the impact of the way you're responding, the impact of the way that you're looking, and the impact of the way that you're responding upon our body chemistry. That image I showed of Luca, for some would have changed that body chemistry really quickly as you kind of look lovingly at a picture of a very handsome dog, and for others it would be a different image. But this sense of being connected is really important, and recognizing during this time we will be doing things that might be a first time for us, and therefore perhaps you will make a mistake. So my mantra to everybody is fail fast and learn quick. It's something that might feel very uncomfortable, and being able to control your emotion using the power of your breath is very important to do. Recognize you might not always get it right, but you learn quickly and change your pattern and routine. So this is a brilliant kind of quote that Mark Twain wrote, great author, one of my favorites. And this for me is picking up this kind of concept of the emotional experience that we can bring, and that need for kindness and the power of kindness, which is so important to us all. And one of my other favorite authors is Henry James, and he wrote, 3 things in human life are important. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind. And strangely enough, as humans, we appreciate, we welcome, and we value kindness from others. But it's something that as an individual, we kind of struggle to extend to ourselves, which is what I'm going to encourage you to do. And we've been given only one body and one mind, and they need to be nourished and nurtured with love and kindness from ourselves. Because we can't always count on that extension of love coming from other people. So we've got to be able to start thinking about how do we bring it from ourselves and relying upon our own sense of love, kindness, and compassion to actually help us get through these difficult times. And this applies, in any point of your life, not just at this particular point, but more so now than ever. And start building a new ritual routines into the rhythm of your daily existence, which is so powerful. So what I'm not saying is a seismic shift, although we are experiencing a seismic shift in the way that society and the workplace is working. But in your world, what I'm asking you to do is think about making it 1 degree of change. One small thing different tomorrow than you did today. And these next couple of techniques I'm going to share with you are very easy to apply. You can give them as much or as little time as you want. So, we can all find 3 minutes in our daily routine or 1 minute. If you've got 10 minutes or 20 minutes, that's perfect. But it's this 1 degree of change, simple change, which can be hugely powerful. It's got a disproportionate impact in the way that we think and feel and act, and also therefore start to influence those around us. And as soon as you start treating yourself kinder, in a kindly way, I think you will find that you have got a stronger foundation from which you'll be able to radiate this love out to others. Because I've never met anybody who's kind to themselves and then doesn't do anything worthwhile for others. I've just never seen it. So my first exercise I'm going to share with you is, first of all, how to breathe. Some of you may already know this, connecting with your breath. Then this 3-minute meditation around ABC. Arriving, breathing, and connecting. So I'm going to stand up for this. So just being mindful of your physical space. You can join me if you so wish. And this first one is kind of a 1-minute shakeout. So every hour I'll be encouraging you to kind of stand up and do something physical. This was something that was mentioned by Suki last week in one of her talk times. So shaking out from your wrists, being aware of your physical condition, because I don't know what ailments you've got, but I don't want to add to them. But this is quite a vigorous shakeout to your hands up to your elbows. And just breathing freely in through your nose, unless you're congested, in which case please feel free to breathe through your mouth, otherwise you might pass out, and we wouldn't want that. And then going up to your arms, and imagine your arms are dropping off your shoulders, just releasing and letting go of those. Perfect. And already, I start to connect with my body. This is like 30 seconds. Allowing your arms to rest by your side. Your arms are the texture I always describe and share with people of panna cotta. So they look quite firm from the outside world, but they've got a wobble to them. So we're going to do a few circular motions with our shoulders, often in the area of tension and tightness. So drawing your shoulders up to your earlobes, shoulder blades together to your spine and down. So 3 of those shoulder blades together, down, and then in the opposite direction. So shoulder blades together and rising up your spine to your earlobes and down. Perfect. And then just shaking it out, letting it all go. And that's one technique, the 11 o'clock shakeout, I call it. So at 11 o'clock, if you did it once per day, that's great. I would encourage you, especially if you're sitting at a computer that you're not used to, doing that every hour. Just bringing that in and just shaking it out. And already I feel very different. Maybe that's just me. So the inside of your feet are parallel, feet hip distance apart, lifting through the legs so there's no tightness or locking. And the belly, the stomach is soft. Shoulders drawing down the spine, broadening across the collarbone. The crown of the head extending upwards to the ceiling. Breathing in through your nose unless you're congested, and out through the mouth. In through your nose and out through the mouth. And just placing your fingers so that the middle finger is touching. Placing that on the area just above the navel. So as we next breathe in through the nose, feeling the diaphragm flatten, those fingers should just come apart ever so slightly. And then breathing out through the mouth, the fingers come back together. So breathing in, nice deep in breath. And breathing out, out breath. Breathing in breath, and breathing out. Out breath. Feeling the breath right from your stomach, that area right down just above your anatomical center. This sense of lightness and alertness coming into your body. So that's the second technique, deep breath. Breathing in, focus, breathing out, letting go of tightness. Breathing in, energize, breathing out, flooding your body with a sense of kindness to yourself. And say that. I breathe in, notice how I'm feeling. I'm breathing out, feeling kind and relaxed. And bringing that posture to your seat. If you were standing, if you weren't standing, so your feet are firmly on the floor. We want your legs to be at a 90-degree angle at your knees. So thighs, calves, feet on the floor, lifting through your spine, making sure your spine is supported, not slouching in your seat. Yeah. And just breathing freely through your nose, out through the mouth. And if you're feeling comfortable, closing your eyes, otherwise taking your gaze down to a point on the desk in front. Just allowing the breath to enter and leave the body. Without forcing, there's no right or wrong. It's just noticing your body. Once you next breathe in, just become aware of your senses. On your next in-breath, notice what you're seeing, even though your eyes are closed in your mind. And breathing out. So again, notice what you're seeing. And breathing out. Now notice what you're hearing around you as you breathe in. And breathe out. Notice what you're hearing as you're breathing in. And breathing out. And next, notice as you're breathing in what you're touching. Skin against the cloth of your clothes. Wherever you notice it. As you breathe in. And breathe out. Notice the inner sensations from your body. As you focus on your in-breath. And notice your sensations with your out-breath. Notice how your body moves to the rhythm of your breathing. Many movements associated with your breathing. As the air is drawn into your body with an in-breath and released from your body with an out-breath. If your mind's caught up in any thinking, just allowing those thoughts to fly away, float away like a cloud in the sky or a bird on the wind. And come back to your in-breath. As you breathe in, say to yourself, may I be well. My troubles be eased for the day ahead. May I be happy. Notice what's going on in the world of your senses that surround you as you breathe in and breathe out. And if your eyes are closed, now just very slowly opening your eyes and coming back into this world. Very simple ABC technique. And for some of you, that might have been an absolutely gorgeous and relaxing experience. For others, it might have been really stressful in terms of I'm not doing this, I can't get this. And for others, you might have had no reaction, quite a neutral response to it. But what it did for us all is kind of slow down our breath. And it did slow an impact upon our mind. And that's really what I'm trying to get over to you in terms of using the power of the breath, breathing from your stomach, that anatomical center. I'm leaving this with you because this is a kindness intent. All it takes is 4 breaths. So you sit in your chair as we were just doing, take 4 deep in breaths right from your stomach area. Think about what you're planning for the day ahead. and set the intention of being kind to yourself for this day. And check in at lunchtime how you're progressing. Were you kind? Were you not kind? Just allowing those to beating yourself up, just learning from it, learn fast and move forward quickly. Yeah. So fail fast, learn fast, move forward quickly, and check in through the end of the day. So that's an exercise I'll leave you to think about. And the breath, breathing, is why it's so important. And if you feel overwhelmed, take a deep breath from the stomach. This will calm you down and release any tensions. Focus with your in-breath, release on your out-breath. If you're worried about something, caught up in something that's already happened, breathe deeply. And it will bring you back to the present moment. Just focus on your in-breath and let go with your out-breath. And if you're moving too fast, mentally or physically, breathe. Brings you back to the moment. For those of you who are runners, you'll know this, and if you're already do any sport, you will come into this contact to slow you down and enjoy life more. It's the other important thing. And breathe and enjoy each moment of life, because we don't know what tomorrow is bringing. We're only alive today, and that's the important thing. They're too fleeting, and so just take a moment to stop, and smell the flowers, as I would describe it. An act of kindness that I'm asking you to take away. So say something, do something, write something to yourself, which is kind about yourself. But physically, either say it out loud or write it. And also say something, do something, write something kind and give it to somebody in your household. Or if you live alone, extend that over the airwaves to someone and share that with them. And do this on a regular basis, every day, every week, whatever you can build into your routine. It's a really powerful thing to do. Because at the end of the day, love is the important thing. Love for many of us is all that matters. Love is the most important things in our lives. It is what gets us out of bed in the morning. And it makes life worth living. It makes us human. And that applies to yourself as well as to others. And a great source of inspiration for me recently has been Jim McManus, who's the Director of Public Health for Hearts County Camps, great source of information. And he wrote recently in a post, ultimately humanity will win over this virus. The better able you are to stay the course until it does, the better we will be when it's all over. In this workplace, when we emerge from this virus, this crisis, will look and feel very different. There'll be a cumulative effect that's kind of developed with our colleagues over time, whatever that might be. And we will be forever changed. We will be changed in the way that HR will need to be operating, connecting with its workforce, with its colleagues. So we need to be mind alert for those green shoots starting to emerge, and connecting with people and encouraging people to get out of the transactional routine of doing things, which is hugely important. And this sense of being kind and compassionate to ourselves and others is a way of being. It's not necessarily a doing thing. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. Thank you for giving me this time to share. And I hope I've given you the ability at least to start thinking kindly and a loving way about yourself.
Thank you so much for that, Leatham. I think, as HR practitioners, we focus very much when we, in the situation that we are in today, on the practical things, on the process. And I think it was good just to tap into some of the emotional responses ourselves as HR professionals might be having. And I appreciate that with everything going on that we're all dealing with, that breathing techniques are going to change the situation that's happening out there, and some of the very sadness with loss of life, etc., that we're dealing with, and furlough and the other. But it might just give us the 5 minutes that we need as HR practitioners to make sure that when we deal with that person, we're in the right frame of mind, and give us that little bit of extra resilience. So some really fabulous techniques that hopefully will make sure, as Leatham says, it's as we get through this and the unpredictability of it, that might give us some extra coping mechanisms that we all need. So thank you so much for that. If you've got any questions for Leatham, I'll give you a couple of minutes to type them into the Q&A function at the bottom of the Zoom. Whilst we do that and give you some time, just a quick reminder of the calls just coming up in terms of the rest of the week and next week. So we have Kirsten Hunt from Elliott Scott talking about hiring and releasing from a recruitment perspective. On Thursday, we have Adele Pickerel, the former BT Group Internal Communications Director. Some great support and advice there in terms of employee communications. We also have John Ford, and we're just firming up his extra guest. We'll get some updated comms out on that this afternoon on neurodiversity and what that means. Obviously, people with neurodiversity have some support needs in terms of dealing with uncertainty and change of difference in routine. We also then have David Young talking about support of executive coaching and leaders, followed by next Tuesday, Sasha Scott on diversity and inclusion. And lastly on the agenda, Jane Bastley from the movement group Body Manoeuvres on how to optimise posture, diet and fitness, given that we're mostly all sat down on Zoom calls. So that's it for the rest of the programme. We're still working on some more content to flow into May. We have one Q&A. I will just open that up now. We have from Susan Davis, thanks to Leatham, useful, practical, easy and kind. So not a question, but thank you so much for that, Susan, to share your thoughts with us, and kindness in itself to give us on the spot feedback.
Great, thank you for that, Susan. Just one reminder, little and often, the cumulative effect of doing this for a minute or two each day will be hugely important and powerful for you all.
So we have no further questions for Leatham, so I will bring the call to a close. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow with Kirsten on recruitment and what she's seeing from a recruiter's perspective in the marketplace. Thank you so much for joining. Please, as always, keep well, keep safe wherever you are in the world, and hopefully catch up again tomorrow. Thank you, and thank you to Leatham. Goodbye.
You're very welcome. Bye, everyone.